Hi, hello everyone. I want to welcome you to our today's topic, which is avoiding procrastination for teachers, and if it's even actually possible to avoid procrastination, and maybe a guide how we can work on procrastination. How can we avoid it? And if you are just watching us live already, please just say hi in the comments so that we know that you are here and that you can hear me and see me. Maria is here. Amazing, Maria. Nice to have you here. And maybe if you can share as well, what is your relationship with procrastination? If there is such thing as relationship with procrastination, but if you can just share that so that I know what kind of stance you have, or what is your opinion, what is your relationship with procrastination. Great. Maria can hear me and see me well. That's amazing. And Christine from India is joining as well. Nice to have you here, Christine. For those of you who don't know me, I am Steffi and I work as part of the Bowie team. Uh, and Bowie team works with teachers. And our vision at Bowie is for teachers or teaching to be associated with respect, prestige, and prosperity. And we do feel that mindset is a very important part of it. And that's why procrastination is part of the mindset series. And we think it's a very important topic because many teachers have a lot of dreams, a lot of great goals, but it feels like procrastination is really stopping them from achieving those goals. So that's why this session today. So if you can just share with me, what is your relationship with procrastination? Or maybe are you a procrastinator or not? Or maybe in which areas you are and in which ones you are not, because that's a thing as well. Um, so, Christine, what are the reasons why we procrastinate? Thank you so much, Christine. So, that's going to be the agenda for today. So, we've got kind of three things to cover. And the main one is going to be what are the reasons why we procrastinate? And I've got at least up to 10 reasons that I wrote down when I was thinking about this topic. And then, if it's even possible to actually overcome procrastination, or maybe tips how we can do it. So, that will be what is the reason, and then how we can actually stop procrastinating. Then, we are going to speak about procrastination being or serving us as feedback. And saying that, what I mean is that we procrastinate, or procrastination is a symptom of something much deeper. So, procrastination is not the cause, it's the symptom. And in the examples we are going to share, we will see how procrastination can be actually very good feedback for us. So, why we procrastinate. And the third thing I'm going to share with you towards the end is my favorite tip. I'm not saying this is the best tip, but kind of like trick that works really well for me. And I don't procrastinate. So this is the only time, space, or trick that works on me. And I'm going to share that one with you as well. But of course, I want to hear from you. And what is your experience with procrastination? And Gorkem joined as well. Nice to have you here, Gorkem. So happy to see you all here. Great. So again, these sessions, mindset sessions, we have every other week on Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 1 p.m. London time, 2 p.m. Eastern European Time. And every other week, every other Wednesday, we have these sessions, and it's about mindset for teachers. And these are free sessions. So feel free to welcome or to introduce other teachers, your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, your family members, if they are teachers, to come to these sessions. The more, the better. Good. Maria is saying, usually I tackle procrastination with self discipline, but these days I'm a major procrastinator. July was extremely hard, and now it's easier, and my body just wants to be not to do anything. That's a very good point, Maria. I like what Maria mentioned because we are going to come back to this, and we are going to analyze a little bit one thing that actually procrastination can be a very good thing. And we are going to share what are the examples of that. So thank you so much, Maria, for sharing this. Um, Alan is joining as well. Hello from France, Burgundy. Hello, Alan. So nice to have you here. So the topic is procrastination and how we can avoid it. Gorkem is saying, when I get in the flow, everything is great and I do think consistently, but as soon as I take a break from something, for whatever reason, I find it hard to get back to it. So that's a very good point, Gorkem. That's about the momentum, and we are going to speak about that as well. And Christine is saying, maybe when I'm not 100% convinced, if what I do is the right thing. Okay, so you're already giving the reasons. That's amazing. Um, so let's just start with this. We are going to mention, I wrote it down, so I'm not going to share any slides with you, but I'm going to take a look at my phone from time to time because I've got 9 reasons at the moment, but maybe as we speak together, we may find more reasons why we procrastinate. So we are going to mention all of them and then give tips. Some of them may not work for you at all. Some of them you may want to consider, and actually will find out they work really well for you. And as I mentioned already, I will share one trick that works really for me. It may not work for you, but I will share it anyway so that you know um, what you can try as well. Great. So, as I mentioned, procrastination is a symptom, never a cause. So, why do we procrastinate? And 2 more people joined from, I can see Dennis joined from Manila, from the Philippines. So nice to have you here, Dennis. And Lee joined from Florida. So Liz is again in Florida. Good, Lee. You must be feeling very hot right now. So, number one reason, what do you think? What is number one reason? Why do we procrastinate? I'm not saying this is the most important reason, but I guess in my eyes, it's one of the most important reasons. But not always. There are exceptions. And I'm going to give you examples. And by the way, I haven't prepared many examples, but I'm going to share spontaneous examples. And I want to welcome you to share your examples as well. Good. So, number one reason for procrastination is that you don't really know why you are even doing the task. Or, even better said, you don't even want the outcome of the task as much or truly from your heart. So you will do a task and then there is some kind of outcome, but you don't truly even care about that outcome or you don't really want it that much. So that's kind of one thing, and maybe another one, you don't even know what the outcome is of the task. So that's number one reason. And if our brain doesn't have clarity of like, why do I do it? What is the point of this? Our brain is very smart and very good. It tries to save our energy. So it stops us or it encourages us to stop from doing that task. So if you don't have a clear why you are doing it, your brain is going to stop you from doing it, and it will come up with many reasons, and I'm going to give you examples. And I guess I will use just one example for the sake of this exercise and session. And by the way, this session is going to be about 30 to 40 minutes, so let's say we can if we can manage that. So example, and that's my example from 4 years ago or 5 years ago. I really wanted to go independent as a teacher. I didn't want to teach for language schools, for private schools, or public schools. I wanted to find my own students, charge them whatever I wanted, create my own curriculum, create my own brand, and everything. And if I hadn't had reasons like why do I want it, it would have been very hard for me to start doing tasks as a teacher entrepreneur. So my reason, my why that I truly wanted from the bottom of my heart was I wanted to have the freedom to travel, to work from any country in the world with my students, then freedom to have more money and to actually be able to afford to buy or invest in whatever I wanted, or even freedom in terms of time. So not just location, but time as well. Because in usual schools, let's say we work from 8 to 5, depending on the country, I guess. But I just wanted to sometimes just have yoga during the day. I didn't want to, teach during the day. I just wanted to have a break and know where I was teaching. I could just leave for 2 hours, go for my yoga, and come back. So my why was the reason, was the freedom. That was number one. And then I wanted to have more impact because I felt in school, which had kind of certain rules that I didn't really agree with, and I was quite limited with what I could do with my students. And I felt like I'm not making as much impact. So making more impact was another reason. And there were more reasons, but I'm just giving you an example that this is the reason. If you don't truly want, you don't know why you are doing it, or the why is not as exciting, and some of the tasks are tricky to do, it's so normal for you to procrastinate on them, and you shouldn't feel even bad about it, because that's very natural. That's how human brains and we work. Great. So I can see some comments from you. Gorkem is saying you are stuck in the comfort zone of because you are afraid of failure. That's a very good one, and that actually was one of the tips I was about to mention, Gorkem. Maria is saying she can definitely relate to freedom. Yes, Maria, I guess many teachers, is there anybody here who resonates with wanting to be more free, to have more freedom? You can just say freedom in the chat box so that we know. Um, and Maria is saying as well, maybe we might lose the sense or why. Yes, that's a good point, and that's completely okay. Because one thing is we can say yes to something now, or we can be really excited about something, but then maybe in 1 year or 2 years we find out, actually, you know what, I don't want to be independent as a teacher. I prefer to go back to schools, although I had less freedom, but I had maybe stable income, and at least I didn't have to worry about marketing and selling. I was just teaching, and that's completely fine. So then in this case it would make sense if the same person was doing all the tasks with focus and energy, and later on start procrastinating on these tasks because it's not your something that you really truly want. Okay, so that's a very good point, Maria, and I'm happy you mentioned that. Alan is saying procrastination is a bit like a stock market. You can have your ups and downs, but as long as more of your sessions are up, then that is good enough. A couple of simple tips can help. Thank you so much, Alan. That's a funny way of saying it. Yes, and I can see many teachers are saying yes, freedom. We want freedom, so you can relate to this. Alan is saying you need a clear and simple goal. Absolutely. You can also fall off the prioritize um, bandwagon with more tempting distractions. That's another why, Alan. So yes, I'm going to mention this one too. And Brandon is saying, I think the hardest thing to do is emotionally connect to a vision you want for your future self. Yes, exactly. But that's the point, what Brandon mentioned. If you emotionally connect with why you are doing what you are doing, and if that why is really inspiring you and helps you going, then you will have very few reasons to procrastinate. And I can say that because during the first years of my teaching entrepreneurship, I didn't even understand this concept of procrastination from my kind of own experience. I was so much on fire, and I knew this why was so strong. I didn't procrastinate. Now, I will explain more about this just a little bit later. Yes, you have to know all your whys. Very good point. The second, so this was the first one. Now the second one is quite similar, actually, what Alan mentioned a little bit. So you've got this big goal. So for me, the goal was to have freedom, wanting to make more impact, and having more income as well. I guess that comes with freedom, having more money, and being free to spend it at whatever I want to. The second thing is, it's good to have a goal. It's good to have a big goal, big vision. But if it's too big, it's not good either for your brain to realize or to know, okay, but what do I do now? What is my next step to do? So, as we said, it's important to have a goal in number one, but number two, it's important to split that goal in smaller chunks. So, in my case, okay, I will just give you my example as this may help. My idea was I wanted to charge $100 as a teacher. And at that time, I was charging about $15. Okay, so that was quite a gap. And it was a big goal. And of course, it was scary. And my brain was like, are you crazy? And even people around me and my friends, my family members, this is not possible. So, of course, in this case, I had to give myself smaller milestones, the next steps. What am I supposed to do? So, the very first step was for me to define a niche. It means a particular segment of students I wanted to serve, I wanted to help. That was the first step. Then the second one was adapting my social media profiles so that I reflect who I help, what I help them with. So you see, I did have steps. The number three step was when those people, reaching out to those people, that were my potential clients, people who were from my niche. So reaching out to them was the next step. Then the next step after reaching out to them was to actually, some of them got back to me and said, like, Steffi, yes, I would love to have a free trial session with you. So the next step was to have this trial session with them and present them with my offer, with my program. And the next step then was to mention the price that I wanted to charge. And then later, next step was to teach them. And the price I mentioned to the first 3 students I had as a niche teacher was $50. So from 15 to 50. So it was about $35 more per hour. And that was scary, but in my brain, it was still manageable because I was already working on my mindset at that point and I could manage that. Now, if for some of you, let's say it would have to be $20 just to have a slightly increase, or maybe $10, that makes sense as well. So your brain can justify it more. And even these smaller steps of what do I need to do today? What do I need to do tomorrow? What do I need to do this month for me to get there? So having a big goal is important, but then having a plan, but sometimes we don't have a plan, we just have the next right step, and that's enough. Let me just read a few comments. What Brandon is mentioning, for example, what did you do to find and emotionally connect to your vision, Steffi? So this is a good question. So Brandon, what I was doing at that time when I was starting with psychologists who were my niche, I was imagining that I am helping hundreds of psychologists improving their life and for them having better communication skills in their therapy sessions. And I was imagining I'm serving at least 100 people, like 100 psychologists. And with this vision, I was imagining it. So I was imagining having Zoom or webinars and this many people being there, or even if in my live sessions, so many people, psychologists being there and feeling helped. And with this vision I had that I emotionally felt it's possible, I was doing all these next steps, the tasks. So that's why it's very important to have this vision, to have this goal. But then the second step, when you do these small steps, one by one, you are connected with this bigger vision, with this bigger why. If you don't feel that connection, you are more likely to procrastinate on those tasks. So if I wasn't really connected to that vision I had, probably I wouldn't have been sending 100 connection requests every day. That's what I was doing. That's crazy. And that's kind of like a lot, right? In one day, it took me maybe 40 minutes to send these 100 connection requests. I was doing it very fast after some time. At the beginning, maybe it took me 1 hour. And I was doing it every single day, but I didn't see like results. I didn't have $100 straight away, or even I didn't have client after client. So it was a lot of work put in, like these small steps, connected with my vision, but not necessarily seeing the results straight away. And that's why I want to continue with the third point. What do you think is the third point? If you have your vision, do these small steps that are bringing you to your vision or goal that you have, but you don't see results. What do you think the third step would be for us to stop procrastinating, or to help us avoid procrastination? What would be the third step? I'm going to sip a bit of water and give you space. The third step. What would be the third step? Or the third tip? Yes, Maria. And Maria is a big fan and big advocate of this. She did even a LinkedIn Live event with one of her clients where they literally, the whole session, they were just speaking about small wins and how they are important. So, yes, that's correct, Maria. So, most of the time, now, depending on the goal we have and steps, tasks we take, we don't have this great result usually straight away. Sometimes we do, but not always, okay? And especially in wanting to be an independent online teacher, when you do these steps like connecting with your potential students, making posts on social media, spending time creating your mini programs for them, you don't see results straight away. So celebrating small wins and having this kind of short-term gratification, because usually you see long-term benefits and you can kind of see it, but your lizard brain wants to see results straight away, or some kind of like quick gratification. So yes, as Maria said, celebrate small wins And these wins can be like in my case, when I was connecting with these potential students and I was sending this connection request. So let's say I sent 160 people accepted. So you would say, what kind of win is that? Like you still don't have a student from there. But I was celebrating. I was like, wow, I've got 60 more people in my network. And that's a win already. Or let's say out of those 60 people, five of them reached out to me and said, Steffi, what you were saying in your first message is interesting to me. I like that. How does it work? So let's say these five people were more interested in what I do. And for me, that was another reason to celebrate. So not always with a champagne or like, with a box of chocolates, but just celebrate and say like, well done, Steffi, like, well done. Like you're taking these steps towards your bigger vision. And this is kind of small wins that you're already getting on the way. So yes, if we procrastinate on some things, let's say we procrastinate even like on doing exercise or on cooking healthy meals or going to bed earlier, or I don't know, the reasons why you procrastinate. Just let's say you procrastinate on doing exercise. So maybe just putting on your trainers or your sports clothes, it's already a reason to celebrate. Like today I've gone so far, like I've put on my training clothes on, right? Even though maybe you didn't go to the gym, but at least you put on the training clothes on. So it's important to celebrate and to be nice to yourself. So that's something that I didn't understand from the beginning. And I guess I was very harsh on myself in some areas. And I was noticing in some areas when I was not celebrating, maybe it took me longer to have those tasks done in those areas. So yes, and I think more people just said, and Nabila is saying celebrate small wins. Exactly. Gorkem is saying keep going and don't give up. See it as a long-term investment. Yes. So this is very important, Gorkem, and especially when we speak about being independent as a teacher. Very few teachers get results within the first 3 months. Let's say they double their income. We do have teachers like that, but this is an exception. Majority of teachers take at least 6 months to 12 months to start getting consistent results, and I would say even 1 to 2 years or maybe even longer. And before that there are so many reasons literally every day, every week, to give up. And it's normal and it's okay to give up. But as you said, when we see there's a long-term investment, we are less likely to give up. And if we celebrate these small wins, as Maria Nabila mentioned, then we have this constant kind of feedback and encouragement on the way. Yes, and let me just, Christine is saying we need to believe in ourselves. That's another one. And actually, there was one of the reasons or tips I wanted to mention as well. So thank you so much, Christine, for mentioning it. Brandon is saying let go of the outcomes once you have envisioned them. Then just focus and grind every day on the tiny habits and tasks that will get to your smaller goals. Yes. So one thing is to connect with your vision, but then not to be kind of so obsessive of that vision that it will blur your vision and you will not even focus on where you are and what you do. So yes, it's important to be emotionally connected with it, to know that that's where I go for, but then focus on the task you have in front of you, but with that vision, I guess, in mind, in a way. Yes, Maria is saying it's better to rest, not to give up. And Maria is a very big advocate of this. So that's something I learned from Maria, that she is scheduling her regular holidays throughout the year. I think it's every other month, if I remember it correctly. So not to schedule a holiday when I really feel already burnt out, when I can't literally make a step forward. But Maria is doing it as a prevention. Because if we keep doing tasks that we don't see results straight away, we get tired and then we are more likely to give up. However, when we take this rest, celebrate small wins as we go, we are less likely to give up and even less likely to procrastinate on some things. And Alan is saying, strip back the ego, embrace the failure because you know that this is part of the bigger picture, which is success. Yes, that's a very good reminder. Good. So we had three tips so far. Um, what do you think the fourth tip will be? I'm just going through my notes. What do you think it will be? I've got quite a few. I don't know. There is one. that will need more attention and to go into detail, and there are a few smaller tips. Good. So I will mention. I'll mention another one. So another one is you have too many things on your plate, too many other projects. And because you have too many projects and other things on your plate, you naturally feel tired and overwhelmed and distracted with all of these other things and projects. And then, because of that, as your brain, again, your brain is your best friend. You're not your brain, but your brain, or the way you treat your brain, you understand your brain, can affect your life. And your brain is trying to save your energy. So if you are tired, super tired because you have 3, 4 other projects, and then somebody tells you, send 100 connection requests today, which takes about 1 hour, let's say, or 40 minutes, and you slept 6 hours or 7 hours, and you know you have still a lot of other things to do. So, of course, you're going to procrastinate on this task unless you know that your why is very important, and you know as well that at some point you may get some rest, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, or you will have a freer day. But unless that is present, it's so natural for you to procrastinate on the task. So imagine you have an 8-hour job or full-time job as a teacher, then you have your family, then you have other things, and then on top of that you have to do this niche teaching entrepreneurship, sending requests, making posts, working on your mini programs. So it's hard. It's natural to procrastinate when you are too tired. Or you can manage it short term, a few days or maybe a few weeks, but maybe not long term. So it's so important to really, in this case, to see how you can arrange your time during the day so that your needs, your primary needs, which is being fed, sleep enough, at least, I don't know if it's 7 or 8 hours for you, for each one of you, to have these needs met. It may mean to reduce your full-time job to have 2 hours less so that you can put these 2 hours more in your independent teaching business. Or it may be that you keep doing your full-time job, but in your independent teaching business, you have some tasks that can be delegated to a virtual assistant, let's say connection request. You don't have to be sending them. Somebody else can do it, on your behalf or instead of you. And this will save you 40 or 50 minutes, or I don't know, 1 hour of your time, which you can sleep, or you can just rest. You can just go for yoga, for a walk, or go and dance, or whatever you prefer. So when you are tired, you are overwhelmed, try to see which of the projects, if you drop them, or maybe task you drop them, would make your life easier, and you could focus on these tasks that you procrastinate on and you know that you want to get them done. Um, yes, and let me just say what people are saying here. Sometimes it's a bad prioritization or time management issue, definitely. So that was actually my case for some time. So I was sending these 100 messages, but then at some point I had 8-hour job as a teacher in a public school. Then commuting time was 1 hour on the bike there, 1 hour back. So it was like almost 10 hours. And then I came back home and I was still working for 2 to 3 hours. Not every single day, but a lot of days. And of course, I was tired and everything. And then because I had clients already and I had to be marketing myself and selling, and I still was kind of stubborn on hiring a virtual assistant that could be sending those messages or even publishing my posts or even creating my carousels or even editing my videos or whatever needed to be done. But I didn't hire a virtual assistant. I was doing everything by myself. And then I felt like I really can't do more. I really can't send these 100 messages today as I keep having, more clients and I have this full-time job. But if I had prioritized my time better, and delegated the tasks that could be delegated, or maybe even negotiated with the school to just work 4 days, which potentially could have been possible, maybe the things would have been better. So it's a very good point from Gorkem that sometimes we do have we struggle with time management, and just to see how we can rearrange our day. Okay, and Florina is saying, I always have too many projects going on at the same time. Yes. And actually, even if like that's what I realized just recently, even though I have like a project that just requires 2 hours of my time a week, but sometimes it's not like 2 hours in one kind of go, but maybe 5 minutes there, 10 minutes there. But for us to start focusing on one task, it takes a lot of energy. And then when we switch between tasks too often, our brain is tired. So it's much easier in most examples or most cases when we just do one task and properly focus on it than just jumping from one task to another and from one project to another. It's easier for our brain, and then we are less likely to procrastinate. Any questions at this point before we continue with the next example? If you like this session, please just like it wherever you watch it from, so that more people can join the session and maybe see it in the future. And in the future, if you feel like these sessions are beneficial, share it with people that you know, with other teachers, so that more people can attend these free sessions, mindset sessions. And also, I'm going to continue with other tips, but what I would like to do is to share our monthly events that we have at Bowie, so that you can bookmark them and you can join in the future. And I just want to, in particular, share one with you that we are having at the end of this month, and that's niche teaching on LinkedIn. That's a workshop that takes 3 hours, and we are going to show teachers how they can get students on LinkedIn at $100 per hour, and to start with, of course, with less, but at least to double your income or hourly rate as a teacher. So if you want to attend this one, just register for free here. So I shared a link with you already in the comments, and we do have events like this every single month. And if you bookmark this, you will see those events. So I just wanted to share this with you. Let me just stop sharing now. Good. Now, Alan is saying, point number 4 is my worst enemy for sure. Keeping up a base level of physical fitness can help if you have the time. Yes, and what is interesting, Alan, I do understand what you're sharing. If you have the time, but actually, sometimes it is about finding the time and then a kind of like and then adapt everything else to that plan. So I felt like when I was having this full-time job and then I was having this online niche teaching business, I was tired. It was a lot of things. And it took like this 1 year and a half at least when I was juggling these two things. And I felt like if I don't have exercise during that day, because exercise really helps me with my energy, I will not manage that. So that's why I decided to commute to work every single day on bicycle. It was 1 hour there, 1 hour back, and that really helped me. That was the only me time and then sleeping time when I had to myself. Everything else I was really doing the business or work. Um, so yes, kind of like I knew I had to find a way and solution for this to work, because I really wanted to be independent as a teacher. But yes, finding that time, and it may be sometimes tricky. Maria is saying, I prioritize yoga, dance, everything that energizes me and gives me the resources for everything else. Yes, I do know, Maria. You have yoga pretty much every day and you dance a lot, and that is your source of inspiration and energy. Lee saying, it's amazing how physical exercise does give more mental capacity and clarity. 100% Lee. So that was the reason why I joined this local gym where there is like yoga and Pilates every single day. And that really helps me with my day. I feel more focused and more energized just because I have this break during the day when I do my exercise. Um, and Lee saying, my goal these days is 10,000 steps a day. That's a really good one. That will help with your mental energy. Thank you for sharing that, Lee. Good. What are other reasons? There is one very big one, but I will keep that towards the end, okay? So, another one is you are scared of failures or even doubting your abilities and fearing that you won't meet the expectations. I merged two kind of tips in one. And actually, many people procrastinate on some tasks that they have associated with trauma or with some kind of unpleasant situation and experience in the past. So maybe if some people already had an online business and it didn't work out, of course, there is this fear of failure. There is this fear of failure that is present there, and it's so natural, right? If we don't work with that unpleasant experience, with that trauma, whatever it was, if we don't sort it out, if we don't become okay with that, it's going to affect the way we approach the current tasks. So we are going to see this failure behind every task we are about to do. And we are going to be doubting ourselves if we can actually do the task. So that's one very important thing. And actually, what I wanted to mention as well about this not meeting expectations. So there is actually one thing as well, very important one. I remember when I started this niche teaching journey business, I really wanted to be earning $100 per hour as a teacher, but it wasn't coming that quickly to me. I earned my first $100 per hour after 18 months. That's 1 year and a half. But I joined with the idea kind of like I will be earning that money, in the first 3 months or I don't know, 6 months. And I was not earning that. And there was a lot of temptation because I was not meeting my expectations I had to procrastinate on these things like sending 100% request messages if I don't see this $100 per hour just yet. So, of course, if you have these expectations and they are not being met as you progress with the task, you are more likely to procrastinate on that task. And this is a very important reason. So I don't know if this resonates with you. Just give me resonate or yes, I can relate that sometimes we procrastinate when we are afraid of failure, when we doubt ourselves, and when we are not really meeting expectations straight away that we had about this thing or about the task we are procrastinating on. Alan is saying, plan your personal time into your timetable before you plan your work time. Yes, exactly. That's a very good one. That's what I had to do, Alan. Before I used to, actually, when I was starting as a teacher entrepreneur, I didn't know this. I knew the concept theoretically, but not practically. So what I was doing, I was working all the time, and then when I had some kind of time free, I had my time, my own time. But then I realized that actually, if I don't get this exercise, if I don't cycle to work, or then if I don't do yoga later, I'll suffer. So that's why scheduling yoga and cycling was my priority, my personal priority. And then I was trying to adapt everything else to this because I felt like, okay, this is my need met, and everything else is going to be easier. So, yeah, that's a good point. Now, we have quite a few more, but actually, I would say two major still reasons why we procrastinate. I'll keep one where I will share my trick at the end, but now I'm going to share something which is a little bit more complex. So, are you ready for something more complex? Just say yes, I'm ready. No, I'm not ready. It's going to be a little bit more yeah, complex, complicated, but should be simple once it's explained. Mhm. Yes. Okay, Maria is ready. Good. Gorkim as well. So this is something I just realized recently. It's not something I knew for long. Literally, I'm aware of this just for a few weeks. And I'm so happy about this kind of realization of mine. And Maya and Lee and Christina are ready too. Okay, let me just share that with you. So I call it a win win approach with procrastination. What is this about? This potentially covers everything else we mentioned as well. But I want to go into more detail. And this win win approach with procrastination has 3 steps. So, what does it mean? When we procrastinate, usually it's because there are more parts of us, let's say at least 2 parts, that cannot agree on the course of action or decision we are about to make. So there are 2 parts of you that can't agree on if the task is important or not. or if that task needs to be done or not. So if there is this true alignment of all of our parts inside us, we wouldn't be procrastinating, at least not on the most important things. And it's okay to procrastinate on the less important things, right? That's okay. But let's say I will give you an example. And on that example, I will explain these 3 steps. So the example would be, let's say I'm procrastinating on making posts on social media. There can be different reasons why, but let's say this is an example. Okay, I procrastinate on making posts on social media. Now, one part of me really wants to do it because I'm clear and aware that if I make posts regularly, my potential students will recognize me, will see my posts, will see my content. And this way, I'll be presenting myself to them. And when they are ready to work with me, they can just message me, or they will just say, yes, I'm ready to work with you. So part of me clearly understands it's so important and even wants to do this, making posts on social media. So that's one part. Okay. And then there is another part, or potentially many other parts. Let's just simplify it. Let's just say there are 1 or 2 more parts. And another one is like kind of the lazy one, let's say, or not the lazy one, but efficient one in a way. And that part says, you've been making posts for the last 2 months, 3 posts a week. You had maybe 3 people liking on average all of your posts, or let's say 5 people. What's the point? What's the point of doing this? So that's another part of you. Okay. There may be even another part, let's say 3. So it's more fun. There are 3 parts that had a troll. That happened to me, for example, as well. That was the only time I procrastinated on posting. So I was scared because there was one person that was just making very negative comments on every single post I was making during that period. So imagine that part of you still remembers that trauma from that troll experience or trolling experience, and of course is less likely to post. So there are these 3 parts that cannot agree or can't make decision, cannot agree on the task you have to do. So that's it. That's the situation. Okay. Now you need to check if there is resistance, and there is clearly, if you don't do the task, there is some kind of resistance. And you need to ask in this first step why there is this resistance, which we already identified why there is resistance, and maybe even what that resistance look like, and see and try to understand, every single part. Try to understand their standing point, where they are. That's number 1 step. Number 2 step is to really try to listen to those parts that don't want to do something. Because even if you know, like, okay, I know I have to do this and this is good for me, but there are these parts that don't want to do. So in the second step, just pay attention to those parts. Just listen to them and accept them as they are, or even love them as they are. Try to be kind of like really observant and listening to them. Like, it's okay, and kind of even accept that idea. Yes, I don't want to make a post because I'm afraid, or I'm scared because of that trolling experience, or because I don't see that much point. Just accept that part. And this is something really that I've been trying recently in different areas, not just in procrastination, and it works amazing. So if this part, which is not integrated in that kind of alignment that wants to do something, if it's acknowledged and accepted and even loved, that part of you is more open to negotiate, or to see, okay, maybe listen to that empowered part of you that wants to do that, make that post. It's more open to listen. So that's even in our life, when we listen to somebody, even if that person is negative or aggressive or whatever. And if we really listen to them and not judge them, they are more likely to actually communicate with us and have a conversation. So in the second step, you just give space to those parts. Just speak. I just listen. And in the third one, when those parts are ready to speak with you, to interact with you, to communicate with you, you try to have this win-win situation. So you try to find an agreement, a step, or like the direction that all parts would like to go together. So maybe it will not be the same action or task as you were planning to do. Maybe it will be a little bit adjusted. So let's say you were planning to make 5 posts a week, but maybe listening to all those parts, you will just make 2 posts a week. And then maybe you will think about other strategy, how you can be visible, so that all these 3 parts are happy. If those parts are happy, like there is some kind of alignment, you will do either the same task that you um, initiated, or maybe something else, but a similar um, task, maybe even a better one that will get even better results. So, was it complex? I don't know why I said it was complex, but I think, or was the explanation clear actually? Did you feel like explanation was clear? Did you, how did you understand this win-win approach with procrastination? Number one, just be aware why we resist and try to see all the parts, what they have to say. Number two, just listen to the parts who are not happy to continue with this task or to do this task, and just not judge them, just observe them and listen to them and accept them. And number three, try to find this kind of common space and try to get those parts move the same direction. Lee's saying, yes, it's clear. Christine as well, and Maya too. Good, 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 good. I'm happy to hear that. Brandon is saying, sometimes it's helpful to think about past experiences that are similar to the experience you fear. For example, if I get trolled on a social media post, I remind myself that it's natural when you teach. I've been trolled by students in my classroom all over the world for decades. Yes, exactly. So that's very helpful, Brandon, to just be reminded of it, that it's natural that we just get trolled, um, and that some people feel like they can express their frustration on our public posts. Lee saying, I'll listen to these tips again today. I do need to work on my mindset. Um, Lee, yes, I think all of us do need to work on our mindset. I feel like it's lifelong project. And that's why at Bobby, when we design our courses, we have mindset as one of the very important pillars. So we do have strategy, mindset, and then technology, because this is changing all the time. So we do pay attention to all three of them. Um, and we do have, let me just share it with you. Those of you, maybe I will ask you, is there anybody still here who haven't got the recording from my session about challenge your limiting beliefs about money? So that's one of the recordings that we share with teachers. If you haven't received it just yet, I just share it with you. And there is more mindset tips for the future I will share with you. Good. Let me just see what you are saying. Gorkim is saying, I remember parts integration from NLP training many years ago. Yes, exactly, Gorkim. So that's what it is. That's what I'm speaking about. I think I simplified it. I tried my best to explain it well, but of course, we can go into more detail and be even more specific. But I try to just summarize everything. But that's what I've been doing now. It's parts integration. Then when we are aligned, and all parts of our are aligned, it's easier to do the things we are supposed to do. I still have one more thing to share with you, and that's the last one. And actually, it's a trick that really works for me. That I know this is when I don't procrastinate. So, who is ready to hear that? If you can just let me know. Um, Alan is saying, no, it was totally absorbing, and you really held my attention. I'm so happy, Alan. Because, yes, sometimes the theoretical things are tricky to explain. Yes, Liz, agreeing that it's a lifelong project to work on our mindset as teachers. And this is the best way to actually approach students then, because we'll pass it on to them as well and make them realize that actually working on their mindset is as important as working on their um, language skills or whatever other skills we are teaching to them. Maria is saying, loved it. I did something similar recently, talking to those parts and treating it as my best friend. Exactly. Yes, that's a very good point. So if you treat them as your best friend, and all of them actually, one thing I forgot to say, and thank you, Maria, for reminding me, all these parts, when we speak about self-sabotage and we speak like, oh, these are the negative parts, we just want to get rid of them, we just want to do something with them because they are disturbing us. Actually, no, all parts that are part of us want good for us. Like, our well-being, our good is in their interest, so they have our needs in their best interest. So none of those parts want to harm us or self-sabotage us. They just want to help us. But maybe we see it as something negative, or like as lazy or as scared, but they do it for a reason. all these parts. So if we treat them as best friends and invite them to this round table and listen to them, it will be a very different discussion and very different outcome. I've been trying this for a few weeks now, and I am really amazed with this. Yes, and Christine as well agrees. Cultivating the right mindset is crucial. Good. So, and you're ready for for the last tip. So the tip that really works for me, and I do hope it's going to work for you. Okay, something I didn't mention, but I guess that was clear. So we sometimes procrastinate when the task is not our priority. So when it's not really important for us to do it, then it's okay to procrastinate. But sometimes it should be our priority, but we fail to treat it as our priority. So that's a distinction. Now, what do I do in this case? I always, every week, I have 3 to 5 tasks I have to do. And that's my kind of personality. That's what I've developed. It took me a few months to develop it. But I know there are 3 to 5 tasks that must be done during that week. And of course, the way I set those tasks is not just like I said this, and this. I think carefully. What is my vision? And then, most importantly, what is my next milestone? And then those tasks are around my next milestone. So I do already cover these things like, is my why covered? Kind of like, do I know what my why is behind the task? Yes. These tasks are smaller steps. So it's not like big giant step. It's a very specific step. So I call them smart tasks: specific, measurable, actionable, realistic or relevant, and time bound. So they have to be this. So, for example, one of those would be, let's say, if I have to do something like create a post on social media. Well, this is not a task I procrastinate on, it's part of my habits, but let's say that would be task of some of you. So that would be the task, and there will be 2 or 4 more tasks like this. So 3 to 5 tasks. It shouldn't be more than that. And if you feel even 3 is too much, do 1 or 2. And then those 3 to 5 tasks I never procrastinate on. And I have them done in 95% of cases. The reason why it's not 100% is because I'm still learning how to set this task properly. So sometimes I set them improperly because I don't really maybe have all these resources ready for me to do the task, or maybe I set the task as an outcome. So let's say find a new client, which is not really a you know task based priority, but it's outcome based priority. So because I'm still learning like how to set tasks really properly, that's why it's not 100% completion, but maybe 95, I would even say 98%, I complete all those tasks. So if you kind of create this habit of having 3 to 5 tasks during the week, it doesn't mean you just do these 3 to 5 tasks, you may do more. But if you just decide on 3 to 5 tasks every week, and maybe the things you procrastinate on, put as part of this 3 to 5 tasks, you will do it. And um, so yeah, let me know how this sounds to you, and if you have any questions, because maybe you need to ask questions about this task especially. Maybe you want me to give you more examples or other things. So I'm open to questions at this point. I will be finishing very quickly now, I think in a few minutes, in a couple of minutes. So if you have questions, please, about this last one, because this is my favorite one, just let me know. And in the meantime, I will share with you the monthly events that we have so that you can attend the future events like this. And if you like this session and you want to be notified every second weeks, or like you want to have it in your calendar, I will share a link with you, and you just need to register or sign up on that link, and you will be getting notifications every other week, because these mindset sessions are on every other week. So let me just share this link with you. Okay, Maria is saying, can you give examples? Tasks can be very different in complexity. Yes. Okay, so let me just even take a look at my task so I can give you really specific examples. I will just open I always have this weekly smart priorities. So one of those is, for example, we created a new mini program for teachers they can use with their students. and we ask about 10 teachers to give us feedback. And now my task for this week is to implement the feedback I received from 10 teachers to finalize this mini program. So it has to be ready this week. That's one task. Then another one is create an affiliate link with one company that we want to be affiliated with and share it with. And I mentioned one client because they already wanted that affiliate link. So that's another task, for example. And this task I was procrastinating on for a few weeks, for example. Another one is spend at least 2 hours preparing for the intellectual property rights workshop, um, and send reminders in 3 different places for as many teachers to attend as possible. So you see, it's very specific and is related to um, the next milestone because we have different milestones. Or the next one is watch all the videos in milestone 3 in our academy, which is the space that we have for teachers, and prepare a quiz. So for me to prepare a good quiz, I have to watch all the videos. So that was a task, for example. And there were like 4 videos, each had like 10 minutes. So it was 40 minutes of videos. And then a quiz took me maybe 30 minutes to prepare. Uh, so that was a task. Okay. Or another one is um, make one educational carousel, because carousel is something I procrastinate on myself. So I'm good with making posts with just one image post. As you've noticed, that's most of my posts about, but I procrastinate now on carousels for some reason. And I know my virtual assistant can help me with that, but I really wanted to do it myself and put my energy into it, which I rarely do my carousels right now, but I did this one by myself to again kind of reconnect with making carousels on social media. Or another was create an onboarding document for teachers in the academy, so that they know what they have to do in the first few days when they join. So these are the examples. I do hope this helped, Maria. Um, yes, and I try to see already where I can put them in my schedule during the week, or just see how much time I have to spend on them approximately, so that I can be sure they will be done. And I have to always count with, but what if I don't have enough resources? So kind of like plan B. So what if let's say one of those was send at least 200 messages to the previous challenge participants if they want to join the challenge again for free. And of course, LinkedIn stopped me after 150 messages, so I couldn't send 200. So kind of like it's good to already predict what potential challenges those tasks can have. Okay, good. Oh, Florina is saying, sounds good to focus on fewer things. I feel overwhelmed often. Yes, Florina, before I used to have 10 things a day. And maybe even now I do 10 things a day. But I know these 3 to 5 things I will do for sure. Or I won't do them unless, I don't have enough resources or something happens, like there are obstacles. Yeah. Good. Yes, yes, yes. And task-based, outcome-based. So task-based is I sent 100 messages to potential students, or to students, or like I sent 10 messages to the students that had sessions with me previously to ask them if they want to work with me again, because it's in your control. Outcome based is this week, let's say I will get one new student, which is not in your control, but it is in your control to send 10 messages. So I always recommend, when you have the smart priorities for the week, to have task-based priorities, not outcome-based priorities. There can be a challenge. You can challenge yourself and do it. That's fine. But I would always say, like, start with send at least 10 messages to the previous students, and hopefully, or like, not hopefully, but hopefully get at least one new student. But that's what I would say. No, I don't, Alan. I don't schedule this task specifically into my weekly timetable, just a few of them. Let's say if I have to meet someone, if that's the task, or if I really know I just have this day to work on it. But because some of them I schedule, but not all of them. But because I know these are my priorities, this is what I do and focus on from the very beginning during the week. So from Monday, Tuesday, I try to have as many of them done as possible. And very often by the end of Wednesday, I'm done with my tasks. So that's, but yeah, some of them I schedule, but not all of them. You're welcome, everyone. We have to finish now. We've been here for 1 hour. Good. So I will see you in 2 weeks. And the topic for the next week, I will let you know. I will create this post today or tomorrow so that you will know what the topic for the next time will be. That will be in 2 weeks from today, the same time. And see you there. And I wish you a very productive week, and really do have this win-win approach with procrastination, and see how you can really understand what you are procrastinating on and what you can do not to procrastinate. Good luck with everything and have a good week. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye bye.